Ever wondered if, there's a practical way to get some of that monk-like calm and clarity, even with everything crazy going on? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today in this deep dive on Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk. We've pulled together a whole bunch of notes reviews, chapter breakdowns, our own thoughts, and basically, our mission here is to boil down the core wisdom for you, make it actionable.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is Shetty himself, right, a former Vedic monk, applying that ancient stuff. Well, now, his whole argument is, look, if you adopt this monk mindset, aim for calm, purpose, clarity, anyone can find more peace. It's quite compelling.
So what does that actually look like day to day? For someone just trying to manage the chaos, the distractions, we're going to unpack his framework. He breaks it down nicely into three parts: let go, grow, and give. Should be some really powerful takeaways here. Okay, let's jump into that first big idea. Let go. Shetty says we've got to clear out the mental clutter first, right, before we can find calm.
Absolutely. And it raises the question, okay, what exactly are we letting go of? He points to things like negativity, fear, and maybe even deeper, like a false sense of who we are.
Right, starting with identity. He makes this point that our sense of self is often built on what we think others think of us, like, I am what I think you think I am. What's the danger there? And how does he suggest we kind of peel that back, find the real self underneath?
Well, that's where it gets practical. It's not just philosophical. It says, look, audit your time, audit your money. Where do they actually go? Does that line up with what you say you value? Often, it doesn't. It's a real eye-opener.
A bit of a reality check.
Exactly. The goal is to filter out the noise, find some stillness, connect with yourself, define your own values, not just absorb everyone else's.
Okay, so letting go of those external labels. What's next? He talks a lot about negativity
Oh, yeah.
and how it's just everywhere. External stuff like gossip, the news cycle.
But also the internal stuff.
Right.
Self-doubt, beating ourselves up. Totally. And he offers this really neat tool, the spot, stop, swap technique.
Right.
You spot the negative thought coming up. Then you consciously stop. Don't just let it run wild. And then you actively swap it for something better, more constructive.
So it's proactive.
Very. It's about shifting from that monkey mind reactive, bouncing all over to the monk mind focused, intentional.
Yeah.
Recognizing negativity is just a habit, maybe, or a pattern, not who you are.
Okay, spot, stop, swap. Got it. Now, this gets really interesting. Fear. We all deal with it. It holds us back.
A big one.
How does Shetty frame fear? What's its root, according to him, and how can we maybe use it instead of just being stuck by it?
He often connects it back to attachment.
Yeah.
Like we're attached to a certain outcome,
Yeah.
or we just really resist change. That breeds fear.
Yeah.
But he says, don't see fear as this wall. See it as a signal, maybe an opportunity for growth. And he has a practical tool for this too, the 4-second breath. Inhale for 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4.
Ah, the box breathing technique.
Exactly. It calms your nervous system right down. Helps you get perspective, observe the fear instead of being in it. So you can act, not freeze.
So observe it from a distance. Okay. And then wrapping up this let go section, he talks about intention.
Yes. The why.
Why is the why so important here after we've done all this clearing out? How does he want us to shift our focus?
Well, he argues that chasing external achievements, the promotion, the bigger house, whatever that kind of happiness is, well, it's fleeting. It doesn't last.
Right. Been there.
Yeah. Real deep fulfillment. That comes from intentions rooted in purpose, in service. So he wants us to shift from just ticking boxes, achieving things, to focusing on the intention behind our actions. Are they motivated by love, by duty, by contribution?
So finding satisfaction in the reason behind it all.
Precisely. That's a sustainable source of contentment.
Okay, so once we started clearing things out with let go, the next stage is grow. This seems to be about building positive stuff, understanding ourselves better.
Exactly. Now that there's some space, how do we cultivate a more purposeful self? And Shetty gives us a roadmap, starting with a really key concept, purpose, or Dharma, as he calls it.
Dharma, right. He says everyone has this unique purpose, something that blends our passions, our skills, our values with what the world actually needs.
That's it. It sounds grand, maybe, but he breaks it down.
Yeah, how do you even find that? Seems like a big ask.
Well, he connects two ideas, Varna, which is like our natural talents, what we're inherently good at, and Seva, which is selfless service. Your Dharma, your purpose, often lives right where those two intersect, where your talents meet a way to serve others.
Okay, talent plus service.
Yeah. And he gives exercises to help you explore that. It's not just theory. Living your Dharma, he says, leads to that deep fulfillment we talked about.
Okay, purpose. Then he gets very practical again with routine. Monks are famous for discipline, right?
Yes.
And Shetty argues routines aren't prisons. They actually free up mental energy, boost productivity. But, for people with crazy schedules, how does that work? Feels like another thing to do.
That's a fair point, and he acknowledges that. He suggests starting small, maybe just 15 minutes in the morning for some quiet reflection or meditation. He also talks about how much our environment shapes us. Setting up your space can help build good habits.
Like making it easy to do the right thing.
Exactly. And he contrasts that monkey mind, again, trying to do 5 things at once, with the monk mind focus on single tasking. Purposeful routines, even short ones, build that focus muscle. It's about progress, not perfection.
Right. Okay, so from routine to the mind itself. He says it can be our best friend or worst enemy. How do we, you know, manage it, tame it?
He uses this analogy sometimes, that the mind can be like an impulsive child, demanding things now. Other times it's more like a wise adult, discerning. And a really core idea here is we are not our minds, our thoughts. They're just passing through like clouds. They aren't us.
That's a big shift in perspective.
It really is.
Yeah.
So practices like reframing thoughts, like consciously choosing a different perspective or just staying present, that helps cultivate the monk mind, the part that observes and guides rather than the part that just reacts.
Okay, observe, don't absorb the thoughts. Got it. And then finally, in this grow section, he tackles the ego, which can be a tricky word.
Very tricky. And he makes a really useful distinction. There's the real ego, which is just our consciousness, our basic sense of I exist. But then there's the false ego.
Okay, what's the false ego?
That's the identity we construct for the outside world. I'm important because I have this job, or I need people to like my posts to feel good. It's built on external validation.
Ah, okay. Seeking approval.
Exactly. And that, Shetty says, is where a lot of suffering comes from, that constant need to prove ourselves. So he pushes for humility, like genuinely appreciating others, letting go of needing to be the smartest or the best all the time.
So true confidence isn't about puffing up the false ego.
No, he argues true confidence comes from within, from that connection to your real self, your purpose, not from needing external applause.
All right, so we've let go, we've started to grow. The final piece of the puzzle is give. This sounds like it's about connecting outwards, relationships, service.
That's right. After the inner work, it's about how we engage with the world. And he starts with something seemingly simple but profound: gratitude. He really emphasizes it's not just a feeling you have sometimes, it's practice, a way of life. And it fundamentally shifts how you see everything, opens you up.
A mindset shift, but how do you cultivate that, especially when things are tough or you feel like you're lacking things?
He suggests focusing deliberately on what you do have. Simple things. Practical stuff like keeping a gratitude journal actually works. He points out the real mental, even physical benefits. It literally rewires your brain away from scarcity towards appreciating abundance, even in small ways.
Okay, gratitude as practice. Then he moves into relationships, obviously crucial. How does he approach building those meaningful connections?
He really digs into it. Trust is foundational, of course.
Yeah.
Empathy, and really listening, actively listening.
Seems obvious, but hard to do sometimes.
Isn't it just? He even breaks down trust into different types. Competent trust, do they know what they're doing? Care trust, do they have my best interests at heart? Character trust. Consistency, it's quite detailed.
Wow.
And he shares this gem from ancient wisdom, the 4 gates of speech. Before you speak, ask, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it necessary?
Whoa, that's a good filter. Could prevent a lot of trouble.
Right. And he also stresses self-love as the absolute bedrock for healthy romantic relationships.
Yeah.
You can't pour from an empty cup. Plus this idea of loving exchanges in all our interactions.
Loving exchanges. Okay. So gratitude, relationships, it feels like this is all leading somewhere.
It is. It all culminates in service, or seva, as he calls it again.
Service.
Yeah. Shetty is passionate about this. He believes the ultimate path to fulfillment, that deep inner peace, lies in serving others selflessly.
Based on his own monk experiences.
Definitely. He shares stories, but he encourages everyone. You don't have to be a monk. Find ways to serve in your own life. Small acts count. And the really powerful idea is service isn't just outward. It heals and enriches you too. It builds compassion, deepens that gratitude we talked about, creates this amazing sense of belonging as kind of the peak of the whole process.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What's the big picture here for you, the listener? Think like a monk really seems to take this ancient wisdom and make it well, usable today.
I think that's one of its biggest strengths. It's incredibly practical. It's not just theory floating in the clouds. It's full of actual exercises, questions to make you think, meditations you can try. It really encourages you to do the work, not just read about it.
Yeah, you feel like you can actually apply it. And it's holistic, isn't it? Covers so much ground.
Totally. From managing your thoughts and fears to finding that deeper purpose to improving your relationships, it touches on so many aspects of life.
And that let go, grow, give structure,
Mm.
it just makes sense. It feels like a natural progression.
It does. Now, some critics might say maybe some concepts get repeated, or maybe some complex philosophy gets simplified a bit.
Okay.
But you can also argue that's intentional. Reinforcing key ideas makes them stick. And making it accessible means more people can benefit, right?
Good point. Wider reach.
And you can't deny his enthusiasm. It's infectious.
Yeah.
He genuinely seems to want to help people with this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So, bottom line, if you're feeling kind of swamped by modern life, maybe searching for more meaning, or just want some concrete steps to bring mindfulness and this kind of wisdom into your routine,
Hmm.
this deep dive shows Shetty's approach offers a really powerful and, importantly, accessible path. Hashtag, tag, tag, outro.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if you really take these principles on board, consciously let go of the old baggage, actively work on growing into who you can be, and then turn that outwards through giving, you really can build a lasting sense of inner calm, real purpose, and, yeah, clarity.
It's about changing your inner world, isn't it? So that you're more resilient, more centered, kind of regardless of what's happening outside.
Precisely. Which leads to maybe one final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. What if you just picked one thing from this monk mindset, just one practical tool? Maybe it's trying that 4-second breath when you feel stressed, or applying spot, stop, swap to just one recurring negative thought. Or maybe pausing before you speak and considering those 4 gates.
Just one small step.
Yeah. How might just that one small shift begin to change your daily experience, your perspective? Starting right now.
Something to think about. Well, that's our deep dive for today. We really hope you feel a bit more informed, maybe inspired, to explore these powerful ideas for yourself.